Okay, I'm going to do this in several videos because I think that they're really big. So this is the second part. I'm going to show you the animation. Basically, you do need to keep this whole thing on the XYZ axis. So don't mess with that. You can mess with it later, but for now you really want to keep it on the XYZ axis. I'm going to select it, all three parts, and I'm only going to move it up just a little bit. Make sure only on the Z axis so that it is actually on the grid there. So it's kind of not underneath it. I could have moved the photo as well at the beginning, but that's all right. All right, so let's say, there we go. All right, so now I've got the car. Again, it's still on the XYZ axis, and that's good. We need that. All right, so I'm going to select that front wheel to start with. All right, and we're going to start this animation here. Make this a little bigger so we can see it. And, oh gosh, I need to move the whole thing up, I think. There. All right. Now, this is my animation. It ends at 250 frames. 250 is a bit long for this one. I'm just going to left click and drag this to about 100 frames. You can just click and let go as well and just type in 100 if you want. I'm going to start at frame 1. All right, and the cool thing about animating this way is you don't have to do each and every frame. You just have to do each like beginning and end of a movement. Now, what we want is we want these wheels to rotate. All right, so this is the first thing we want to do. We don't want to move the car first. We want to move whatever's on the object, car, whatever, first. So, and I just want them to rotate. So what I'm going to do is at the beginning, okay, here we are. We're all here, rotation and everything else. I'm going to set it that it starts like this at the beginning. So the first thing I have to do is hit I to insert a keyframe. And I only want to insert the rotation. So I click on rotation. I want to say, okay, here at frame 1, this is what it's going to look like just rotation-wise. Then I'm going to click and drag all the way to 100. All right, and what I want to do is I want to figure out how this is going to rotate. It looks like it's going to rotate on the X axis. All right, so if I hit X over here and I left click and drag, see, and this is the weirdest thing about Blender. Okay, so it's not the X, so I'm going to hit Control Z. Let's see if it's the Y. Nope, Control Z. Let's see if it's the Z. Control Z. All right, actually, this is a good way of showing you how to fix this. Okay, so you're trying to figure out which way to make it rotate correctly. So this is X, Y, Z. This is kind of the only way I've figured this out is let's try X, Z, Y. Let's see if it's the X. Control Z. Let's see if it's the Y. Nope. Let's see if it's the Z. Yay, it's the Z. Okay, so I'm still going to hit Control Z. So now if I'm in the X, Z, Y Euler, it has to be on the Z. So at the end, I want this to have rotated, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say 3,000 times. All right, I'm going to hit Enter. Now I have to actually insert another keyframe. Make sure you do this at the end. So I'm going to hit I, just the rotation. Okay, so now I'm saying at the end it will have rotated 3,000 frames. So at the beginning, so notice, right, at the beginning it's at 0, and at the end it is at 3,000. So that's how many times it will have rotated. Okay, now the back wheel, I'm going to have to do the same thing. So I click on the back wheel, go to 1, and I to insert the keyframe, rotation. Then I go to the end here, okay, and I say, oops, I didn't, it was at 100, over here, and I'll say 3,000 again. Enter. Oh, shoot, I forgot to change the thing there, so I hit Control Z. I'm going to go to this one. Hopefully it'll work the same for this one. 3,000. Enter. Looks like it. Now I'm going to insert the keyframe, rotation. Let's see. Did it work? Yes, it did. Woohoo! Right? So now they're rotating. All right, which is great. Oh my gosh, right? Instead of having to do each and every step, traditional animation, now I can just rotate them, beginning and end. Now, I want to start moving the car. Now what I have to do though is I want the wheels to follow the car. So I'm going to have to parent them. Now, parenting is very much parenting. It is, you can have one parent. The parent can have, excuse me, several children. Okay, but the children cannot have more than one parent. So you kind of have to make sure you don't get loops that way. So the parent will be the last one you click. So if I'm going to parent the wheel to the car, I'm going to hit Shift, right click on the car. Notice that the car is orange. That's because that's the last one I clicked. And then I'm going to hit Control P. I'm setting the parent to the object. Yes, please. Okay, so I say object. So now what happens is every time I select the car, that wheel follows. Control Z. But if I move the wheel can move independently. Okay, so the wheel will do its thing, but whatever the car does, the wheel has to follow. Okay, so the wheel is the child and the car is the parent. Now what I want you to notice also here in the outliner part is now that the front wheel is gone. The front wheel is now under the car, so it makes kind of an outline. So it's helpful to look here to see if you did it right, right? So you know the car is the parent, and the front wheel is now parented to the car. I'm going to do the same thing with the wheel. Now I can select several things and then the car as well, but I just want to do this twice to show you. So Shift, select this one, Control P to parent the object, right? And again, so now under car, I've got both the back and the front wheel. So now the car, wherever I go, the wheel will follow. Again, the wheel is independent. Control Z. So now I can move the car around. All right. So if I'm going to, I'll start at the beginning. I'm going to say, you know what I need to figure out right now is where the camera is, because I want to move the car around according to what the camera is seeing. So if I hit 0, it looks like it's moving away. Let's go over, I'm going to hit Control Alt Q. I like moving this and mousing over here and having the camera view there. And then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to move it this way. I'll move the camera over here. I'm going to rotate it so it's facing. Okay, and I'm going to move it further away. Right, I'm going to G to grab it here. You know what? Let's go this way. Rotate it. Nope, not that way. No. Let's see. Where's the camera here? No, I'm not really happy with that. Let's do this. Well, no, actually, I don't want it there. Here, I'm going to zoom out some more. Now, actually, this is something that I'm going to show you right now. If the whole thing, well, okay, let's say, well, G to grab it, scooch it up so that I can actually see the car. All right, let's say I like that. I don't particularly, but it's fine. I'm going to hit Control Alt Q. Let's say, for the sake of the tutorial, that the camera is really, really, really far away, and you hit 0. Actually, I probably have to do it even further than that. 0. What starts to happen is that things start to disappear. Notice I don't see anything. And that is because, and you're like, well, wait a minute, but it's actually looking at, I know it's far away. What is happening is that the camera, once you have the camera selected, go over here, has a clipping. It clips at a certain point. So I'm going to go to 0 again. So there's an actual end when it stops rendering or seeing stuff. So make sure that that is nice and long, the clipping. Shoot, I'm not sure if I'm too far away because it's just too small. Let's see. Well, here we go. How about I just make it clip this way? And I'll show you what I mean. So this is what starts to happen, like it starts to disappear after a while. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on. It was the camera. So make sure you have the camera selected, go over here and make sure that it is not clipping so that the stuff doesn't disappear. All right? There's probably a better way of showing that. So, all right, so let's say, it's a little closer here. Okay, let's say I like that. It's all right. Now, I'm going to say the Flintstones car is going to start here. Okay, and it's going to move to, let's say there. Let's see what it looks like here. Oops, Control Z. I have to set it first. So I'm going to go to I, just hit I, and I don't want just the rotation. I want the whole thing about this car. Okay, so I'm going to go to lock rot scale, which means location, rotation, and scale. Everything about this thing, I want it to be right there. All right, then at about, let's say 20, okay, now I can move it. At about 20 frames, I want it to go here. All right, so now I'm going to insert the location, rotation, scale of it. I want it to kind of turn. So between maybe here and here, I want it to turn. But the Flintstone car has to kind of tip to turn. So first thing I'm going to do is I will rotate the whole thing maybe like this. Scooch it up a little bit because I want it to go up, not. All right, let's try that. I will insert it, location, rotation, scale. But I also want it to kind of rotate this way too, so I'm going to rotate it this way too. All right, I'm going to hit I to insert location, rotation, and scale. All right, now let's kind of see what it does. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So I'll start from here, drag it over here, kind of scooches. I don't know if that's great. Let's go over to here. We can then, you know what? I'll view it from the top. No, I won't. I'll go back over here and rotate the, no, you know what? I've got the, oh, that's right. I've got to set the origin because I want it to rotate off of the origin. I forgot about this part. If I click here, set origin, origin to geometry, now it's going to rotate off of the middle of the geometry. That's not what I want, though. I'm going to rotate it off the Z, R and Z. Okay, so that it turns this way. And I'm going to G to grab the whole thing and kind of scooch it that way. All right, so let's see what happens. I'm going to hit I to insert location, rotation, scale. Let's see what happens between here and here. It's terrible. Okay, so let's say I don't like that. Now, there's a couple things I can do. I can hit Alt-I to delete the keyframe when I'm on it, or I can just make a new one. So I'm going to just G to grab it and scooch it there. Let's see how that works. And reinsert, just hit I, reinsert another keyframe over top of it. So let's see. That's a little better. That's kind of weird. But all right. Let's say I like it. I don't really. But and then at the very end of the whole thing, I'm going to G to grab it. And let's say I'm going to make it drive off to here. I to insert location, rotation, and scale. Okay, so let's see what it's going to do. So at the beginning, it's here. Then it kind of does this goofy turn. And then it goes that way. Terrible. But anyway, so there you go. So now I've got it turning and moving away. So now I've got it animating, right? The whole time, the wheels are rotating. Now, there is one thing. Now, because I have it centered really well, if I don't have it centered really well, so if the wheel, if that center origin is somewhere else, so and I'm just going to scooch it just for the heck of it, I can, just to kind of show you how this all works. So I'm using the 3D cursor, right? Left click to move the 3D cursor. I can also move it numerically down here. Okay, so let's say if I set the origin to the 3D cursor for that wheel, now let's see what happens. Oh no, it's because I already put the thing on it. Let's see what happens. If I rotate it, it'll rotate off of that off that center. Okay, so if you're finding when you're first rotating that, I'm going to Control Z until my center's normal. You need to make sure that the origin is in the right spot. Origin to geometry. Geometry to origin moves the object to that center spot. Anyways, so for now, you know, I had it correct the first time around, and that's kind of why, oh, look at that. What a mess. All right, I didn't insert a keyframe, so hopefully, well, you know what? I'm going to hit Control Z. until we are before that. Shift-Z goes back forward, but all right. All right. So now if I go over here and hit play, let's see what it does. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. All right. So, okay, stop. We'll pause it. Because I also didn't look to see that it was going down when I moved it. All right. So, again, I can delete that keyframe by hitting Alt-I. Or I can just go to it. Let's just go to it and let's move it. Well, it was looking okay in the camera, but I kind of want to move it up because it was weird. Now let's insert location, rotation, scale. Better that way. There's the camera view. Let's see when we play it what happens. All right, see now it's probably going to be easier to add the road and everything to it. Now, I could technically render this right now. If I hit animation, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get 100 PNGs in the temporary file. So please, please, please don't hit animation. You're going to go here first thing, click on the folder, make sure it's going to the right folder. I think you guys have the U. Sometimes the U is wonky. So sometimes you want to put it on your desktop and then move it to your U file. I'm going to put it on the desktop, okay? And this is my Flintstone's car. I'm going to hit accept. All right, and then make sure that it is not a PNG because I will get 100 PNGs. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to hit AVI JPEG. All right, so now I've got the right format. This, you can change the resolution and the size and all that sort of thing, and the start frame and the end frame. For now, we're going to leave it exactly as it is. And when I hit animation, this is what happens. I'm going to get each frame, and it's going to go through all the different frames right here. All right. Okay, so if you notice, I'm going frame 96, 97, 98, 99. It goes through all the frames, and depending on the resolution and everything, and you know how slow your computer is, that's how it's going to work. Now, if I'm here, I can hit escape to go back here. Sometimes escape works, sometimes it doesn't. Honestly, for me, it's like it works in the morning and it doesn't work in the afternoon. I have no clue why. If not, just go down here and go back to the 3D view. All right, so I'm going to minimize this because now on my desktop, if you'll notice, I have this lovely little animation. So if I double click that, I will have, oh, it's not very lovely, but just to kind of show you what we have so far. Ooh, it's very large. There it is. Okay. Now notice it's terrible. It is probably the worst animation ever. I can't see the wheels spinning. There's a lot of stuff I can't see. So the next part is I'm going to show you how to add lights and give everything some texture. All right. Hey.